Good evening, students. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about adaptation in films. Let me share my screen. All right, adaptation. There's a term called intertextuality. That means there's a relationship of one text to another, typically a text from a past tradition connects to a present tradition. And films are intertextual. Films are connected to news stories from the past, photographs, paintings, novels, other books like nonfiction books, comics, written history, video games, TV, and other sources. Just look at this variation of sources for films and think of a film for each source. Do you know a film that focuses just on the news? What about a photograph or a painting or a novel? What about a nonfiction book or a comic? Think of Batman and Superman as an example of a comic figure. Written history, video games, TV, and other sources. I have here a picture of Superman, and there are various intertextual elements of Superman from previous Supermen, from television shows, from the comic book series, to the Clark Kent of the 1970s and early 80s, to the incarnation of Superman today. And it's summer of 2025 right now. There will be another Superman film coming out in, I believe, August. So typically, a film, in terms of adaptation, is based on a script, and a screenplay is the earliest version of a script. A shooting script is the version of the script used during filming. It includes changes made in the screenplay, usually breaks scenes into shots, and normally includes instructions on camera placement. So you can see in terms of a film, it starts with some kind of intertextual response, then the screenplay occurs, then the shooting script occurs. Also, we have what's called a storyboard. Storyboards are a series of drawings of each shot of a planned film, often accompanied by brief descriptions of notes. Storyboards are useful for deciding how to divide the script into shots, determining how to arrange the shots, and deciding camera placement. This is a storyboard of North by Northwest. We have pictures of Cary Grant and the leading actress. It says there, camera pulls back. It says there, Eve pulled up. Eve is the main character with Cary Grant. The next storyboard is a picture of a train going through a tunnel. And the film adapts to these storyboard ideas and presents its own conclusions based on the storyboard. There are multiple people involved in creating a film. The storyboard might be written or drawn out by the director, or the screenwriter even could get involved in this, but typically it's the director. Let's talk about film adaptation. There are types of adaptations. There's a loose adaptation, a faithful adaptation, and a literal adaptation. If it's loose, it retains only a few major aspects of the original. For example, only the title and one of or two of its subjects. So that's a loose adaptation. A faithful adaptation, it imitates the subject and perhaps style of the original and captures its mood or spirit, but with some changes. The Scarlet Letter here on the side here is an example of a faithful adaptation. Then there's a literal adaptation. In nearly all aspects, it recreates the source. More on film adaptation. Let's talk about film connecting to historical events. There are many films that connect to historical events. There were no books written about it. The screenwriter takes an historical event, creates characters around that event. Uh, the characters may be real or imagined. Uh, some examples of historical films: Hotel Rwanda, Munich, Hurricane, Letters from Iwo Jima. That's directed by, I believe, Clint Eastwood, and Stand and Deliver. I have a picture here of Denzel Washington in Hurricane. He plays the boxer who is condemned on a crime that he did not commit. And the film goes through his life, his boxing life, his prison sentence, and then ultimately getting out of jail and declared innocent. In terms of historical events, when a film deals with news or history, filmmakers usually omit, add, or change details to make the film more entertaining. So there's always an entertaining aspect to the film. In creating historical dramas, they almost always need to collapse several historical figures into a few central characters to make a story understandable. And cinematic historians often lack detailed evidence about situations of the past, so they invent dialogue and suggest impressions about the emotions and motivations of historic figures. When my father saw Forrest Gump, my father said, Vietnam was nothing like that. And my father was correct, and he did not like Forrest Gump based on the historical inaccuracy of Forrest Gump. However, this last statement, again, they cinematic historians often lack detailed evidence, so they invent dialogue and suggest impressions about the emotions and motivations of historic figures. More on film adaptation and historical filmmaking. Other fictional filmmakers enhance their film's semblance of actuality by including documentary-like material. In Forrest Gump, there's a lot of documentary material interwove throughout the film. There's examples of Forrest Gump talking to many different presidents, including, I believe, John F. Kennedy and other presidents. Apollo 13 also uses TV clips, interviews, subtitles, conveying factual information and narration to enhance the appearance of factuality. I also like this picture here of Apollo 13. To create realism, they are using old NASA computers or what looks like an old computer to create the idea of realism within the scene. Let's talk a little bit about fictional films. Writers may add more dialogue than present in the novel. So this is fictional films related to fiction or perhaps a novel. So in fictional films, writers may add more dialogue than what's presented in the novel to carry out the screenplay and the film. A writer may not be able to integrate sensory details or metaphors from the fiction, so they have to figure out how to display these sensory details through the visual image. The film gives viewers an excellent sense of place, shape, volume, texture, and sounds. That's what a fictional film can do that perhaps the novel does not do. I have a list of other things that a fictional film can do, and I have a picture here of the Shawshank Redemption based on a novel. The movie camera can select actions and render them with clarity and force. It can capture movements and gestures. It can just and look at the movements and gestures in this scene of Shawshank Redemption. One character is folding his arms, the other's leaning against his knee. So that creates a certain movement and gesture within the film. Fictional films can juxtapose images more quickly, very quickly, actually. Adept actors can express mood and meaning with facial expressions. Look at the facial expressions of the characters in the Shawshank Redemption and can contribute much more. Film can also capture the nuances of sound and music. The order of scenes may also be changed within a fictional film, and the ending of the source novel is often changed to a happier, more crowd-pleasing conclusion. Films that end dismally or in a sad mood typically don't do well in Hollywood. So a lot of films, for instance, Pretty Woman had a sadder ending. The two main characters in the film actually do not stay in love. They go in their separate ways. When this was shown in front of an audience, the audience did not like that ending. So they changed the ending where they fall in love in the end and live happily ever after. So the order of scenes may change in a fictional film, and the ending of the source novel may be different, and that change creates a happier, more crowd-pleasing conclusion. Fiction requires its audience to visualize and sub-vocalize from printed words, whereas film presents images and sounds directly. So that's an example of a difference between novel and film. Let's go to plays. Chicago is based on a play, and it certainly plays out like a play, but it's more of a visual storytelling element of a play than an actual play. Uh, I think Chicago is one of the films you can watch in the class. In the early years of cinema, many fictional films closely imitated plays. Plays are verbal in nature with much dialogue and song and dance. Films are visual. A film version of a play tends to locate some of the scenes outdoors. That can happen. Uh, Films have more characters than its source. Typically, more characters will be added, whereas the play may have one or two characters in its dialogue form. Fictional film prunes the play's dialogue and relies more on the visuals, music, and sound effects. You don't want a movie that's just dialogue after dialogue after dialogue, and that's how plays tend to be. Some plays do. So the screenwriter has to prune the play's dialogue and create the style that connects to the film. When a play is filmed, filmmakers make many of the same decisions that are made by people staging a play about the selection of dialogue, actions, lighting, costumes, settings, and the light. The difference is a film can create a different kind of movement, camera angles, and that sort of thing. The lighting might be similar to a play, but the camera angles are certainly different. And the editing is different as well. Filmmakers have many additional concerns, such as camera distances and angles, editing, and nearly always a more complex mixture of spoken words, sound effects, and music. So that last sentence is excellent in terms of what filmmakers can do that a play cannot do. Uh, Filmmakers can work with camera distance, with camera angles, editing, and spoken words, sound effects, and music play into it as well. Film adaptations with the play. Let's continue. Film shows action only mentioned in the play. Film version also has many more scenes and settings. And period settings, costumes, and props may all be added or altered connected to the play. Those might be altered for the film version. I have here a modern version of Shakespeare's Hamlet. Hamlet is a play by Shakespeare, and here we have Ethan Hawke walking through a movie store, VHS movies in the old days, maybe DVDs, blockbusters where you could buy movies or rent movies. Remember that day? It doesn't exist anymore. I just checked Best Buy, and they do not have The Godfather at Best Buy. I have to get it at Amazon if I want the uh, Blu-ray version of The Godfather. So Best Buy used to be where you would buy DVDs. So anyway, this is the modern version of Shakespeare's Hamlet, and he says to be or not to be, that is the question. And he's walking through a video store doing it. So it's a very different adaptation of Hamlet in a modern sense. Uh, Film adaptations can occur through television. There are many television series like The Addams Family, Beverly Hillbillies, Mission Impossible, Charlie's Angels. There are numerous. At times, a film might satirize the television format. This is, I think, a predictable way of making money. You take a popular series and then transform it to the film and make millions of dollars from that transformation. It's a safe way to make money in Hollywood. Film remakes as adaptations, remakes make money sometimes. There's a remake of Psycho, and the difference is it's colorized, and the characters tend to be more sexually suggestive than the original. Although I think the original is brilliant at sexually suggesting material in its own form, with all of its with the production code. It's passing the production code, but it still has interesting characters from a sexual standpoint. Parodies can occur in film adaptations, such as Spaceballs. And Spaceballs parodies Star Wars. There are others as well. Sequels is another way to make money, I think, to be safe in Hollywood. Some sequels are great, some are not so great. A sequel is a narrative film that further develops at least some of the story from an earlier narrative film. And because Hollywood sequels have proven generally profitable in recent years, more and more of them have been made. Alien franchise, there are so many Alien films, Aliens, and then you could have to look on Google to see the other variations of the Alien film. Halloween has many franchise movies, so does Terminator. You could say Star Wars is a franchise film. How many Star Wars films are there? I think there are nine. Star Wars A New Hope, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Then after that, I can't remember. There are three prequels to the Star Wars films, and then three more sequels after that. Then, if you get on Disney Plus, you can watch more of the franchise of the Star Wars movie, Andor, and other films related to Star Wars. Let's end with these two quotes from multiple sources. Films many times don't just focus on a book. They might focus on a book and history and other sources as well. So films contain multiple sources. They are intertextual in nature. Texts are always intertextual, always related to earlier texts. Even when a film seems to have one main source, other influences, including the filmmaker's culture and other cultures, are at work. What happens when you have a French film and then you adapt it to an American culture? That happens quite a bit. In Hollywood, they take films from other countries and they adapt them to the American culture to make money. Sometimes, if you just play the French film, it's not going to go well at the theater. But if you find a superstar actor and some great character actors and recast the movie and create it from an American perspective with American culture and values in mind, then you have a hit. So that's adaptations and the variations of adaptations within film. This information comes from a different textbook, which I've done on purpose because I wanted to give you a different perspective on adaptation than what is relevant in the book. So if you're looking for a quiz or trying to pass a quiz, you might go review the textbook. This is an extension or a movement beyond just quiz terms. Anyway, thanks for listening.